Hi, today I want to revisit yesterday's example of a ball being thrown straight up. I'm going to show you some new things on your calculator. Maybe you've seen them before, but you're going to be using them a whole lot. Okay, so this is an identical function that we looked at yesterday. We did a couple of examples with it. So the first one I'm asking us to find is the height after 0.25 seconds. Now, that's the height at 0.25. So what you're going to do, is you replace t with 0.25. And it's going to work. And you can get your answer that way. Okay, I want to show you how you can do it quicker on your calculator. Okay, so I have my calculator here. I'm going to try to frame it properly. It's probably not nice to look at, shaky, but just bear with me. Where I'm at right now, maybe I'll get to the main screen. You start up your calculator, it might look like this. Hit y equals, top left. And that's where you can start graphing. Okay, I'm going to input this function. Okay, it's negative 4.9 t squared. Okay, you don't put in t, you put in x. That's this button here. Okay. All right, so that's my function. That's this, written that in a way the calculator understands. I'm going to see it, you hit graph. Okay, my window settings are the default. Okay, as long as you can see it, it's fine. Often if you can't see it, it's still fine. We're going to run into all kinds of issues with calculators, and I'm going to give you tips on how to just avoid some of the pitfalls and how to troubleshoot as we go. But for now, this is going to work. Check this out. If you want to find a y value, just height is y, time is x, what you can do on your calculator, call it a trace. I'm hoping you've done it before, but I'm going to remind you or show you if you haven't seen it before. So with your calculator showing the graph, if you hit trace, I'm going to show you, it gives you some x and y values down there. Type in the x value you want. I want to trace 0.25 because that's going to tell me the value of the graph when x equals 2.5. Okay, then I hit enter. X equals 0.25, y equals 2.19375. Maybe I'll just write 2.19. If you go ahead and type in all of this stuff in your calculator, you'll get exactly 2.19375, but the calculator gave me that answer pretty quickly. You might think it was a waste of time because I had to put it into y equals and things, but it's never really a waste of time because there's always parts B, C, etc. Check this out. We can use a calculator to find out the maximum height that this ball reaches. Okay, here's my graph. I actually want to zoom in a bit. Okay, all these ticks are values of 1. It looks like it gets just above 2, maybe 3 meters high, and it's in the negatives from like negative 1 second to 1 second. I'm going to change my window. Okay, so you hit window, brings you to this. I'm not too interested in times less than 2 seconds or greater than 2 seconds. The minimum value of y, maybe I'll crop it to -5. The max, maybe I'll call it 5. Let's just see what this looks like. That's easier for me to look at. Okay, what we're looking for is the maximum height. How high does this graph go? I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, there's a really useful menu we're going to use a lot. It's this calculate. We just use the button trace. Above that it says calculate. To access any of the yellow functions on a TI-83, it's a different color on different models, but it's always the same kind of steps. If you're using a Texas Instrument, it's second, trace, and this brings us this calculate menu. You can probably guess what we want. We're looking for the maximum. So choose number 4, maximum. Okay, now there's some steps to do. I apologize for that glare, but I don't think it's too bad. You can still read it. It says left bound. And you notice there's a little like cursor that's blinking at me. You can move that around. It doesn't matter where it goes as long as it's to the left of the maximum. Next it says right bound. Move this guy just with these arrows. I should have mentioned that. I'm moving it to the right by pushing the right arrow. And now it's definitely to the right of the maximum. Enter. Next thing it says is guess. You can hit enter again. I like to move it a bit closer to maximum. Hit enter. Okay. Here it says maximum x, y. Okay, well, in our question, x is time, y is height. Okay, so the maximum height and the time it reaches that height, the maximum height is going to be 2.3, it said 316, so I'm going to call that 2.32 meters. And the time, 0.14 seconds. So that's how you use the maximum function in your calculator. We're going to use that a lot. All right, what's next? Let's find the total time in the air. Okay, so we're going to assume this thing just hits the ground. Let me show you the graph again. It hits the ground at this time. Okay, I don't think you should just try to get close to it. You can hit trace and get close to it, and it tells you like a time and a y value. But you can actually just type in y equals 0 and see what x equals. I'm going to show you how you can find this value. Go back into your calculate menu. So second function trace, calculate, check it out, 0. That's how you find an x-intercept. It says left bound again. Okay, I'm just going to click to the left. I'm definitely to the left of that x-intercept. Hit enter. Right bound. So hammer on this right arrow. I'm now definitely to the right of this x-intercept. Guess. You can just hit enter again. I'll show you that. So y equals 0. So that's when the height equals 0 at this time, about 1.1 second. Okay, so we threw it from this height. It went up, came down, hit the ground at that time there.